Hello and welcome to AleksTabletops MTG Study pre-recorded session 9. My name is Alex, and let's just go through our another YouTube special. So the point of these specials, basically, if I don't have time to cover something during the stream, because usually my streams are pretty short lately, I'm trying to wrap up the stream under an hour, so I don't know how long this recording could take. So the whole idea is of this recording is basically surrounded around this type of event, which basically called Play Any Deck Standard. It's pretty close to getting basically shut down. So since September 26th, we are able to play it. We left about 45 hours to do so. So the whole point of this event is basically, again, welcome to launch celebration, play any deck, win every card, where basically we have an access to all standard cards during this event. Play games with any standard deck, even with cards not in your collection. After joining, click to choose your deck, button on the right to build or select your deck. I already built decks, so basically I built two decks that I'm planning to use in a future event that will allow us to actually add all collections from standard in our or cards from standard in our collection. So basically the whole point of this, again, is to flex your deck brewing muscles as you get ready for our win every card challenge. So the whole point of this event is basically this, and I'm going to do exactly that. I have basically up until 12 games to basically test one or if it's not going to be successful in its first match, maybe two decks. So again, the problem is we're going to play until 12 games in general. Either you win or lose those games. So the cool thing is we don't have the limitations on how many losses we could take. So again, ideally, if we want to win every card in a win every card challenge, October 5th, the only way to do this is to basically make sure that we're going to create the deck that's going to first, we want to test this deck without limitations. So again, the cool thing is that we're going to focus on these two decks. So my favorite deck, which is basically a deck specialized on flyers. I don't know, maybe it's called Azorius flyers, who knows. So basically, my favorite deck is flyers. I'm usually pretty consistent with this deck. I know how to play it. It's pretty easy to play, actually. It's relatively fast, sometimes even faster than a Cavalcade deck. And of course the second one is the Cavalcade deck, which basically kind of packed with a couple of new cards from the set. So we're going to quickly overview those decks and basically go. So the whole point of this event is to test those decks. Again, I built them not from the basically net decking. This is just those decks are built. These decks, all decks that I'm building from based on my intuition and based on logic. So most of the decks are actually built basically with just my personal feel, and usually it's pretty similar to what other people are doing, with a couple of exceptions, because again, other people are building decks based on their experiences, or maybe, yeah, and of course they have much bigger experience there usually than I have in Magic. So because of this, like for instance, you're not going to see like Tomic, for instance, in any Azorius deck. Maybe you can put this if you play against Nisa. This is the reason why I put Tomic in here, because I believe he's pretty good against Nisa, if I understand how its ability basically works. So lands on the battlefield and land cards in graveyards can be targets of spells or abilities your opponent control, which means that if opponent tries to basically use Nisa to create creatures from lands, this one is not going to work, which is actually pretty cool. And of course, the opponent can't play land cards from graveyard also. So again, this Drake is a specific, again, I don't have many copies of this Drake in this deck. We need it in here in case of dealing with mono red, and basically protecting ourselves from red cards. He's a good blocker. in terms of like I remember I fighted this Drake a couple of times when I played my mono red, and because of this Drake I actually lost the game because it basically didn't allow me to attack that efficiently, and also I didn't have proper cards, but still he's not super mega efficient in this deck. Maybe we'll see, but he works. Of course this card is crucial for this deck. This one, I mean, usually my regular deck has only 2 copies because I have only 2 copies in my collection. Right here we have limited copies of all cards in order to participate in this event. So of course I put all Hawks here, all Fairies, in order to have something to gain cards. Also they are the cheapest flyers, and the most, I believe, in my at least opinion, most valuable flyers, because they not just flyers, they also provide us with additional perks. This one, for instance, provides us with lifelink, which is awesome. When you like, it helps us to regain life. This one gives us additional cards which we need in order to get, for instance, Sapphire, which is another key card that usually helps us to establish a win. Of course, Eagle, usually like we either winning because of him, or we are providing a destruction for opponents to basically use all removals on these Eagles. So this one again, we need something to get to our cards that we need. So because of this, we need something cheap to draw cards. Wei Lin, before that, I didn't have her in this deck, but I decided, yeah, let's just make less Drakes. Before I had 4 copies of Drakes, and then I decided, okay, let's just put 2 more in lane, because she's again will give us a pretty good destruction, and also if opponent will have some type of a big flyer blocker, we also could disable this flyer blocker. So again, this one is pretty common in not because it's a creature that allows us to basically this creature acts also as a removal, which is actually pretty cool. But I'm not only putting this creature here because this is a pretty decent removal. You're probably not going to be able to use it in 1 turn, but again, 2-turn removal, I guess. The good thing about this is because it provides us with proper amount of creatures. It basically enters the battlefield and puts 2 creatures at the same time, which is again will help us to play Sapphire much quicker. So again, I would consider not putting like 4 copies of Sapphire. We'll see, because even in my original deck, which has only 1 copy of Sapphire, I'm getting her in draws pretty often. So I believe in order to not create this problem of having 2 Sapphires basically not being able to play either of them, it's better to basically like balance this out. Again, I don't know, maybe this is not that like efficient of a deck, but I believe it actually will be able to give us almost any type of like exit from almost any type of situation. If we will try to get, if we will encounter Nisa deck, we will be able to fight it, or basically land based deck, we will be able to do something about it. With Tomic, if we will encounter mono red, we will be able to basically slow down a little bit the game until we will get to our main combination. If we will encounter some big cards that need exiling, of course we have that too. Again, we have a Planeswalker also in order to basically distract opponent from hitting us in the face while we building our offense. And mostly this is pretty aggressive deck. Again, I'm considering this deck's usually even much faster than my Cavalcade deck. Yeah, so this is it. I mean, this deck is pretty straightforward, nothing super special about it. I also put these castles in here. One of the cards from new set, Throne of Eldraine, which basically just allows us, like, usually I at least control 1 island because of this, or because of the availability of islands in our deck, and it usually enters the battlefield untapped, and the ability to scry 2 and then draw 2 cards is usually truly could save us. For instance, if we don't have Sapphire on top of our deck, and now by scrying we know what we have, and we could build strategy a little bit better. So yeah, so again, I believe most likely I'm going to play this upcoming event with this deck. But let's just also talk about maybe with small modifications. I tested this deck pretty well. It actually gave me a ratio of wins 7-2. But the problem is I lost 2 matches on a 4th win, which means that the other wins would not matter if we would play this event, because we like the next event, because if we're going to lose 2 matches, we're basically dropping the event overall, and we collecting the rewards, and that's it. So again, but I still believe that I have more chances with this deck than with Cavalcade, because Cavalcade is basically the problem with Cavalcade. It's not always efficient in my opinion. Even like though this is a quite a new version of Cavalcade deck, it has a couple of things, like for instance, it has 2 of these artifacts, which I never used in the deck, which would be pretty awesome to use. So basically, because we have a lot of attacking creatures, by putting this card in our deck, it basically kind of creates a pretty interesting situation, because it enters the battlefield, you will attach it to right away a creature that's already attacking. Ideally, this card in combination is supposed to be used on Chandra Spitfire. For instance, if opponent has a flyer blocker that could kill Chandra Spitfire, instead, like by basically using Embercleave, hopefully I'm reading it right, or Embercleave, so you will be able to basically create pretty cool stuff. Or also Torbrain or Torburn, also a pretty good Dwarf Noble creature that again provides us with pretty awesome stuff. Right away becomes a target for the opponent removal, because opponent knows if we will continue to set small creatures and attack with them, and especially if we have something like this, like Spitter or Cavalcade, and play at least one of them, it basically will deal 2 excessive damage. So again, so this is just again my version of Cavalcade. It's probably not 100% like perfect version. I mean, you could create much more stable and better versions of, for instance, like the reason for Legion War Bosses here, because usually it creates a lot of like destructions with a lot of small tokens. If I, for instance, have usually 2 Legion War Bosses in game, it basically creates just a lot of small tokens that I could potentially use later. And instead of this War Boss, or in addition to this War Boss, I actually could use another pretty cool Planeswalker, or pretty cool Goblin that I had in my previous deck, or that I have actually in my original deck, because I didn't have anything else. Because like I have only 3 copies of War Boss, and I had 2 copies of Crank, and they're basically balancing them each other out. But Cranko is logical to use, for me personally, at least in my opinion, in combination with my favorite buff with in red decks, Infuriate. Hopefully I'm reading it right too, Infuriate. So basically, because I needed to, and of course my original deck is 80 card deck, not a 60 card deck, so because of this I had to basically empty out a lot of slots in order to basically build a much more stable dominant version, or basically good version of the deck. And because of this I had to get rid of Infuriate. Because of this I had to get rid of this pretty cool Goblin that I like, Kranko. But again, I mean, I tried this deck. It gave me the winning ratio of 5-2, which is decent, but it's not 7-2 that I got from decks with flying. Because again, there's so many removal for small creatures like this. I mean, this red deck, so as our flying deck, they're pretty similar. They both could be killed pretty quickly. The only problem is, like, I still believe that it's much faster to rebuild maybe with flyers, at least in my opinion, because we have additional draws with it. Like, you can't do anything about it. With those draws, we 100% is going to draw cards. When with Cavalcade, you might not get cards if opponent choose to, for instance, accept damage from risk factor instead of allowing us to draw cards. So we don't have a for sure drawers from Cavalcade deck, so because of this I believe it's not going to give us that stability in this event. And also I believe there's going to be a lot of people that are going to play Cavalcade deck, and Mirror Cavalcade is usually weird. So I have more chances, I believe, with this. But still, let's just test it. Again, the whole session is going to be, this session is going to be, pre-recorded session is going to be revolved around testing these events. So again, we have 12 matches to test this deck. I'm going to stick to this one. If we're going to lose 2 matches in a row with this deck, I'm going to switch to Cavalcade. And we're going to play again until we're going to run out of games. And the information in here is going to tell us how many those left. I'm not going to repeat this process. I mean, we can't. So let's just go without further ado. So again, I'm pretty tired. So I believe, like, because of this, it's pretty hard for me to choose certain words. I have a pretty I'm starting to get a headache. So because of this, and also it's pretty late in here, so okay. So in terms of the hand, I believe this is a pretty decent hand. I mean, if we potentially could play against the deck with Nisa, this one works. Also, we have Sephara right at the beginning. If not, we have 3 creatures and 1 more to go. We have 3 lands of the needed color. Seems like a perfect hand to take. I rarely taking a bad hand with this deck. This is the cool stuff about this deck. It gives us a pretty good balance, I believe, in terms of like with draws. Almost every time I'm getting a proper draws. So, and also this is a good way for us to actually check out the meta and see what people are actually playing, because I truly don't know. So we're gonna attack because we will gain life. Opponent is getting crazy with this. By the way, one of the things that I noticed is lately I started to notice that for some reason my cats, basically all cats, are basically just sleeping, and I thought that this is a bug, but it turns out that this is just a option in gameplay. If you disable emotes, all your cats will basically go to sleep. So you're not going to be able to use emotes, so as your cats are also being disabled. And I basically forgot that I turned off the emotes, and now if I want for our pets to behave or basically act, we need to turn this off. Not necessarily a perfect thing. It's like, I mean, it's fine. Okay, so hopefully I'm not gonna forget to cast Sailor. So now we have pretty good blockers against our flyers. We're still gonna attack. I doubt that the opponent has buff. It costs 1 to get those stronger and kill all creatures. So yeah, this is the problem that I talked about. So the potential of getting 2 Sepharas in a row. My original deck doesn't have that, because I have only 1 copy, and if I get 1, it's awesome. If I don't get 1, I will still find a way to win. So the question is, should we need to put 2 Sephara, like 3 Sepharas in the deck or not? So for now, that's basically my question. Because I surely don't know what to do in here. Like, it seems like 4 copies of this card will make sure that we're going to take it. But at the same time, if we don't have creatures, like 4 creatures or enough mana to cast it, it's pointless in our hand. So I might consider to dropping it to 2 copies, because I'm usually not relying on Sephara to win the game. When I get 1, it's awesome. It's basically make sure that I will win game much more, with more, I guess, percentage. And also by basically checking the meta game and seeing what opponent is playing. So it seems like this is a kind of a food deck, which could be pretty deceptive in terms of like what it does. I mean, at the beginning it starts pretty slow and unthreatening, but later in the game it basically goes with a lot of bombshells and or should I say bombs, that basically could kill you pretty quickly. Although I don't have that much of experience in playing, so new set, so I can't say for sure on those. So again, for now, we have to consider ourselves. Yeah, we need to consider ourselves with drawing as many cards as possible, and put as many also creatures as possible, because we need 4 creatures in order to cast Sephara. So the whole point is to put as much as possible small creatures and keep them in play. But again, for now, unfortunately, our opponent has quite a bit of a removal. I actually like this cat better in terms of the texture itself, so I actually had this cat, uncommon cat, in my settings too, but then I decided, no, whatever, let's just put the rare one. And another one, so ideally we don't have to lose it unless opponent has some type of plan. Oh, it actually gets +1 for sacrificing your foot. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Yeah, this is actually a pretty cool combination. So, depending on the decks that we're gonna face, I'm gonna make my decision of either playing with this deck or not playing. So far things are pretty bad. I mean, definitely going to use Munilin. And now we have a pretty big problem, because we don't have enough lands to pay 2 of these cards at the same time. So the logical choice here is to do this and draw additional card. And seriously, so yeah, this is what I usually don't like in the decks that have 4 copies of each card, or even 3 copies. You get, like, for instance, I had 4 copies of these cards, Sephara and Tomic, before. Then I decided, okay, we need to drop them to 3. It seems like more than enough. But after this match, I probably will reconsider on dropping both of those to 2 only in the deck, because there's just no point of having this situation like this. Like, we don't have the ability to play 2 Tomics in a row, because this never happens. Like, 4 planes at the same time. So, good. Or not good, actually. So again, if we didn't have Tomic, and if we would have a proper lance, we would be able to play Tomic, then this creature, and then we would have enough mana to play this. But because of the Tomic, we will be able to play only him and our flyer, and that's it. And on the next turn, if we will have all creatures intact still, we will be able to play Sephara. We'll see. I mean. So again, ideally I would be able already to play it. I don't know, by the way, why I didn't block previously. We could gain additional life, so it was weird. Let's just attack. I don't intend on blocking any creatures. So, missing opportunities. I would think about recording the event. The next event, where we will be able to hopefully get the whole collection with 12 wins, which I doubt. I don't have any.
Welcome to the feast.
Welcome to the feast. I don't have any illusions on the fact that we will win. I believe we have more chances of losing than winning. So again, opponent will probably sacrifice food to make those creatures bigger. Or no, you can't. You have to tap it. It only works in block. Or no. So yeah, good. So now the cool thing is that now we will be able to play Sephara. The only problem is, again, the only way to play her is to tap those creatures, and next turn we potentially could die. The logical choice, and the only choice that we have here, is to basically play Munyan in, but we're going to play her in a second. part of the turn. Maybe opponent will decide to use some type of removal. Hopefully I'm not going to miss this. Because opponent might just return it into our hand, which is not going to be a good one.
Many have challenged me over the ages.
So yeah, let's just make this one smaller.
Bow to the howling.
So now if opponent will decide to attack us, we will try to block. Although it's probably not logical choice. Oh snap.
Oh
Yeah.
dear.
We're forgetting about the top planeswalker in the new set. Pretty cheap one, but actually allows to disable a lot of threats. It's pretty cool. So yeah, we're going to lose this match apparently. By the way, we could choose, of course, decks like this, like the food deck, into this event, because again, we're not limited with decks. The only problem with me, though, like, I don't want to choose the deck that has a lot of complexity and lose because of it. Like the whole idea for me, opponent of course is going to put counters on it. No point. I want to preserve damage. So in this particular instance, this is a good thing that we have Safari, because now opponent disabled it, like one Safari, but we have another one, which is cool. And now we will be able to rebuild ourselves, which is cool too. But again, the problem is, opponent could use with +1. Yeah, this match is basically lost. We're not going to be able to do anything here. This is just basically pointless. Yeah, missed the card. Because again, opponent has Oko, which will be able to disable almost every type of creature by making it just an Elk 3/3. Which means that our Safari is basically pointless.
Let's broaden your existence.
It doesn't mean that we were gonna lose. We still have a chance if we will get a bird that gives all of our flying creatures +1, or the enchantment, or the instant that will give all of our creatures +2/+2, and then untap them. But I believe opponent is just going to kill us with this combination. Our deck is pretty straightforward. If we're gonna win with this deck, we're winning pretty quickly. But if we're going to lose, we're going to lose. It's a weird loss. It's. I mean, whatever.
I regret becoming involved.
Yeah, we're not getting what we need. So again, I'm winning more with my regular deck, like not flashy one with a lot of copies of all cards. Like, I truly get more wins out of my regular deck, because I have quite a bit of flexibility out there, and yes, the cards are cheaper, they are less effective, but at least we're not getting into a situation when we have a lot of copies of cards that we don't need. Or not necessarily not need, but not able to utilize. And with those legendary creatures, usually this is the case. We could concede this duel, but I kind of want to continue to see how this deck works, because we might get to this deck in a... Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is bad. So yeah, we're done with this match. I guess I probably will skip this turn. I don't know. I don't know why opponent is not attacking with all creatures though. We're truly done. Yeah. Let's just skip. There's no point of fighting it. Because again, two huge planeswalkers, each of which creates wolves. This one is pretty annoying. Every time that wolves enters the battlefield, basically it fights. So it's pretty solid removal. Okay, the first match is bad one. Hopefully it's like one thing that basically for me personally it's hard when you're playing these competitive events, because this is a truly competitive event. I hate competitive events personally, so because of this I'm feeling pretty uncomfortable playing it. But again, if you have a possibility to get all of your cards, like all cards from standard in your collection, although I have most of them still, why not try? But again, This is not something that I'm feeling comfortable with. I like to create decks that don't put a pressure on me winning. So this is the reason why I'm not playing, because like constructed events that basically allow us to like win a lot of additional gold or additional cards, etc. So the whole reason is, so again, now we're playing against Cavalcade deck, so let's see if our Drake is actually gonna work here. Maybe it's not a Cavalcade deck, we'll see, but it seems like it. It starts like it. My Cavalcade deck doesn't have any removal like Shock, or so it's time to put a blocker. So again, now opponent's not going to be able to remove the Drake anyway, which is the whole point of putting it here. So we don't have anything to like against a previous deck. We didn't have anything against previous deck.
Andrea, you need more control. Don't worry, I brought company.
I was just gonna slowly kill. But again, opponent might kill us without Cavalcade, just by regular creatures, because we're not getting what we need. Okay. So again, hopefully opponent will be distracted on this Planeswalker. I doubt though, because the max ability of this Planeswalker is not that cool. The main one is this. So, I don't know. I mean, this is the problem. When I'm building deck for fun, just basically, or for instance, just for the dailies. So, for instance, my Cavalcade deck that I'm using in Standard, so is my Azorius Flyers deck. Both are built based on most effective win-lose ratio that I'm getting out of a regular play throughout the day in order to get as many dailies as possible in a shorter period of time. And they work perfectly. But I understand that by entering an event versions of those decks, event versions of those decks, like competitive event versions of those decks, are going to be slightly different. And by trying to make them more efficiently, you at the same time jeopardizing your overall strategy that you learned from your regular deck, and also like the additional pressure that it is being added in competitive matches is just not something that I'm handling well. Not like, I mean, just because probably I'm trying to figure out why I'm taking like I already talked about multiple times during my streams and like previous recordings the reasons behind me not liking that much competitive play. There's a lot of reasons, usually not just one, but mostly like competitive decks for me personally, they just don't. I'm just not having fun playing them, that's it. Because you have this additional pressure of limited, like for instance, in this event that we have to play next week, where you have to win 12 matches with only, which I believe is a crazy thing completely, by only having 2 losses. I mean, this is too crazy. I mean, I guess that on a tournament level, this is exactly what you'll get usually, but 12-to-2 ratio, it still seems too based on luck, not based on the deck itself. Because again, we don't have any type of restrictions in here in terms of what we can play, what we can put in our deck during those events, which is pretty cool. Which means that we could truly put every type of existing cards in our deck, which makes things a little bit more fair. So opponents that we're going to play against also will be able to do that. So again, we don't have this limitation in terms of what type of cards and what type of decks we could build, which is a good thing. So, but at the same time, still, it's more, I guess, about the luck, about like who you're going to face against.
With help.
So we need to think, like, should we produce more flyers in order to later get something, or should we put Muyan Lin and actually continue to get bigger flyers instead?
Prove your skill.
Because I kind of want to attack with 4/4 now.
I is my domain.
And it's better to, it's actually better to attack Chandra and kill Chandra here right now. Because Chandra is gonna die, although opponent has only one card. Oh, this is bad. This is not necessarily a regular Cavalcade deck, it has Frenzy in it, which means this might not be a Cavalcade deck at all. We'll see. So again, the thing about red decks, as you saw before, like, opponents started pretty good, and it seemed like we're gonna lose, but then
Beauty in the ordinary.
yeah, we're gonna attack with everything except our Drake. It has protection against red. We always have to keep it in defense almost, and never attack with it, even if we like have the opportunity to attack with it. Snap. Sorry about that. That was quite a sneeze. I needed that. So yeah. I mean, it's pretty hard to just basically stay casually, like maintain casual atmosphere in a competitive event, because you have this pressure that if you're gonna lose this match, you're not going to be able to get to this event anymore. So it's like, okay, it's one chance, and if you blew it, you blew it. That's it. So I don't like this pressure in the games that I want to play casually. I mean, like in life, I get that you will have to face those type of things. You have to, and I'm feeling pretty well under the pressure in the things that I care about, and in things that I get. We could actually counterspell that by sacrificing the Drake, but I actually will probably take it. Although opponent probably has a plan to kill us with direct spells. That's it. There's not going to be any lands. So now we need to draw a card
Call your temper.
and truly hope for something. Not this. 4, 8. Yeah, probably. We actually could die. Pretty bad, pretty bad. So again, I'm not going to attack with all of them because we're not going to deal lethal. I'm gonna attack with only these guys. I'm gonna keep the rest on the block. Oh, that's pretty risky. Probably should look what opponent has. So these cards are now in exile zone. Some of them could be played like this. This one only now will be able. Oh, wait a minute. So this is a actually infinite combo, I believe, or not? Like they're going into the exile, but then you will be able to play them from exile again. Okay, that was pretty good. But we're gonna counterspell that. This is another cool thing about the Drake, by the way. I mean, it has a freaking counterspell. Like, how cool is that? I mean, it's basically exactly the thing that almost saved us. Hopefully the opponent doesn't have anything else to play. Please, please, give us a freaking win. This is actually pretty interesting. This is the first time that I'm seeing this. These cards are playable and you can replay them. Replay the adventure ability. Yeah, opponent. Give up. Pretty cool. So yeah. So Drake definitely has to be here. Because like, this is one thing that I'm 100% sure about. So Drake has to be here. By the way, let's just... I'm gonna open the statistics in... Let's just launch the match. So we played 2 matches. Out of those 2 matches, we lost one and we basically won one. So the first match that we lost, I believe, just because of the luck and because I played with pretty unfamiliar deck. I don't know how to fight against full deck with flyers. It's just impossible. You just basically, if you're getting lucky and killing your opponent pretty quickly, you'll get that. If not, you're just not. So here we have a pretty similar problem to the one that we took a first hand with. So we probably should mulligan in our first match. So let's keep it. Let's just get rid of Tomek. I doubt that we're gonna play against Nisa deck. Highly unlikely. Let's just keep. We're also not going to be able to play it with only one plane. Okay. And this is the first time that we're taking a hand that we're not able to play any cards in a turn 2. Because usually turn 1, turn 2 I already will be able to put something in play. The overall situation is not good. Put something in play, but it's probably going to be removed. Okay. Okay, so we're playing against potentially mono black. It's gonna be funny to see what potential mono black is doing. So the whole idea is not to analyze. I mean, the whole idea is to basically just test out my deck and see how it showed itself in a competitive atmosphere. That's it. That's the whole point of this event and this session, or in general. I don't have other plans, so I will not try to analyze things, because it's pretty hard to analyze things during the play itself. It's more like after, or based on general results. But what I could say from the first match, so again, first match we just didn't get lucky. Opponent had anything that opponent needed, and I don't believe that we will be able to get a. We had everything that we needed, by the way, also. But opponent just had a lot of disablers, and that we didn't had an answer for. So, which means that the first match was basically unwinnable regardless of situation. Opponents just got lucky. Second match, we almost died. It was pretty close, but we actually kind of survived against a pretty aggressive deck, which utilized a pretty interesting strategy. Still. So here we need to make a choice. So since this one can be countered, I mean, counter target spell that targets you, which means that we better keep this Drake. Let's probably sacrifice this one. It's gonna be funny if we will get a second copy and miss the opportunity of drawing a card next turn. We'll see. So this deck basically works with sacrificing. This is not the first time that I'm playing with this deck. Yeah, definitely not the first time. It could be annoying. It has its own thing. Again, I'm not good in analyzing the decks that I'm playing against. Like, I don't know every card that this deck has. Yeah, remember that one. And opponent's quitting. So yeah, opponents basically didn't have, I guess, enough removal to kill us, which was cool. I wish the overall event would be like this, where every game that we're playing, opponent concedes. It would be awesome. But again, the whole point of this video is to basically, again, test out my Azorius Flyers deck and hopefully prepare myself for the event and do my best truly to get up to 12 wins. If I get at least to 5 wins, it's gonna be good. If I will lose 2 matches in a row, it's going to be a complete disaster, and I'm going to blame stupid luck. And this episode probably not going to be aired as special again, although I will record it. So again, we have a pretty similar problem. We have 2 Sephiroths and not enough creatures to put it in play, but at the same time we have more than enough needle lands. It seems, although a risky hand to take, I probably will take it regardless. Because again, I didn't play much with this version of the deck because it's like pretty significantly much more different from like in comparison to my deck. My deck is lighter, doesn't have that many big creatures, it's cheaper in general. It has less big threats, more smaller cards that allow us to then much more likely to put big threats. And mostly I'm winning with this deck, with my version at least of this deck, Azorius Flyers, based on just pure number of creatures and constantly keeping the aggression. This is probably not the wisest choice. The ideal choice probably would be to play Hawk, then draw 2 cards. Instead I chose to put Moyanlin. But again, maybe in the long run it will work, because next turn if opponent is not going to remove Moyanlin, we will be able to create 4/4 blue elemental bird, which again could be a much better attacker than just 1 Hawk. No, we're not. It's pretty sad, but still. Opponent probably plays a Phoenix deck, or another version of Drake's. So yeah. So again, this is not a problem for me in Constructed. If you want to play good in Constructed, besides the fact having a good deck and knowing how to play this deck, you also have to understand metagame pretty well in competitive atmosphere. And I don't understand meta pretty well in a competitive atmosphere because I'm mostly playing in a play mode, and play mode has a lot of non-competitive decks. And don't get me wrong, like some of them are like from time to time could get competitive, but they're completely different from competitive like atmosphere. The only way to experience competitive atmosphere is again in Constructed, so-called tournaments, or basically something that when you play for value, not just for fun. And because every match, every turn has to be calculated in order to get the best value out of it in general. Oh snap.
I appreciate clean victories.
Okay.
A quest of mystery.
Will Rowan. So this is probably the deck that works with drawing a second card, which is not a good start for opponent. The cool thing is that this we got this one. This is perfect. Snap. Next turn, yeah, next turn we will be able to play Safari. Continue to make Moyanlin as a pretty good destruction. I'm not going to consider myself with this. Although if opponent draw 4 cards, then if you do roll 7 deals damage to any target equal to the number of cards in your hand. It's actually not cool. Yeah, let's just I still believe we have pretty good attack. I don't know what this deck is all about, I'm not sure about it, so I don't want to keep this card, this Planeswalker, just out there and not pay attention to it. Maybe it's important. Maybe this is not just a destruction. Maybe this is a key strategy. So for this Moyanlin, for us, it's mostly a destruction. Although it could add into our main strategy by providing us with bigger creatures, but still, in general, it's more like a destruction. I have only 2 copies of it. I mean, this is the way that I'm looking at things. Maybe I'm wrong, but if you have like 4 copies of each, like of a certain card, this card of course has to be important to your deck. It means that it revolves around key strategy. If you have a card that you have like 2,
What is my strategy here?
1 copy or 3 copy of this card, it basically lessens the strategy of this deck. Yeah, the deck basically, yeah. I fought with the similar deck. It's actually killed me with only having this Pyromancer in play. It's pretty cool. It had a lot of basically cards on that specializes on drawing, so which means that we need to be super quick. But I believe once we put Safari in play, opponent will probably quit because Safari is pretty 2. So how lucky we are with this. It's pretty great. So we can do multiple things in here. So what I will do here is this.
Ride the winds to victory.
We have more than enough mana to utilize everything that we want here. Now here, we're gonna deal a lot of damage, and we're also gonna place fire. Let's tap all small guys, girls. So, and hopefully the opponent doesn't have anything to fight Safara. And even if opponent will do have something to fight Safara, we still have more than enough damage to deal next turn to kill opponent, hopefully. If we will get another copy of the Wings. We'll see. Of course, not good. But still, like the Frogify. Pretty cool card. Or apparently in draft it's completely irrelevant. So yeah. So yeah, opponent apparently tries to kill
I will learn what nobody yet knows.
our Drake, hopefully to draw something that could be cost for 1. That will like, I mean, whenever you draw your second card each turn, like I don't get why it sometimes triggers multiple times. This is one of the things that I don't get much. So
Quell your temper.
so here, oh, she doesn't have line. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna attack with 1. I'm gonna keep that one. Let's deal 1 damage to
Rowan, hell!
Will, apparently, because he's seeking Rowan's help. So yeah, this is, I guess, Will, this is Rowan. There's no music, things get quiet. No, let's change it to blue. So apparently opponent still has a disabler against Safara, which is fine. Because again, we still will be able to deal like 4, 6 damage next turn. And then each turn, hopefully. Unless opponent has mass removal. So again, flyers are pretty straightforward, although for some reason they're still pretty interesting to play. I mean, they're perfect if you don't have time to think and you just wanna
You've never seen anything like this.
enter the game, get through the dailies and basically quit the game and continue to do the things that you planned throughout the day. I guess this is it. Unless...
I know how to stop you.
yeah, what was the plan though?
Learn some respect.
I don't know what's happening here. Like, I didn't get what this deck is all about. I mean, I played against similar deck. I remember when I played with a Cavalcade deck against this deck, I couldn't do anything because, again, this 0-4 doesn't allow us to attack that much. And most of the matches I actually lost. It was pretty disappointing. With Flyers, this 0-4 is not doing anything. We still could attack with Flyers. It has a lot of disablers, I guess, like, but still, like, the point of those Planeswalkers, especially Rowan, I mean, I get why we need, yeah, forgot how the Planeswalker that focuses around artifacts called. Like, each time that you cast non-creature spell, you will create an Thopter. attack. Okay, this is pretty decent hand. Probably the first time that we're getting the eagle in an opening hand, and it actually matters. So again, when you're building a deck for the event, you're trying to build a deck that hopefully will give you not just one linear strategy, but some level of adaptability to the situations that you might encounter throughout the game. So this is the reason why I put Mo Yanlin in here, the reason why I put Tomek in here. Like ideally, there's no point in having him in here. Although it's pretty cool. Cheap flyer that gets to 3. It's pretty early probably to play that. So let's just disable that one.
Sloppy technique.
Not set. So yeah. So again, when I'm playing my regular decks, not competitive decks, I'm usually building, like, I could truly build a linear strategy without thinking what type of decks that I could face, because usually I'm facing completely unique decks that I never played before. And because of this, I might consider not putting like too much of a removal, for instance, in my deck, because I might just focus the deck on, oh snap, I missed one thing. Whips. Yeah, I missed that Narset doesn't allow to draw more than 2 cards, basically use the spell.
I train every day. No one I have just the trick for this.
Oh no, this is bad. Next turn opponent will be able to play it. And we're getting stupid lens only. It's pretty bad actually. The situation overall is pretty bad. I don't know what to do here. Like, being distracted by Narset or continue to attack in the face.
My mind needs a rest.
Try to do both. So yeah, so again, getting back to what I talked about. So again, my usual decks when I'm playing are usually, like, I could just build a linear deck without necessarily considering myself, like
I will spare you. Defiance has consequence.
we're not getting lucky, I would say. Withdraws.
Your bloodline from existence.
Please, Planeswalkers, shut up and let me talk. They're interrupting my train of thought. So, with their speech, seriously?
Will resonate.
It's fine.
Throughout the multiverse, I have other schemes to attend to.
We
Let
have
your weak
a lot of... How long his speech is, you gotta be kidding me. So here, I don't know what to do here. Let's just try to attack in the face. We could keep rally for later, but I kind of want to press opponent. Hopefully we'll get lucky enough and actually kill opponent faster. I mean, if I wouldn't attack like Planeswalkers, we probably would already kill opponent. So, another thing to learn, if we will face a Planeswalker deck, the last thing that we have to think is about targeting Planeswalkers. Even if they have a certain, like, crazy ability, especially if you playing with an aggressive deck. The whole point of aggressive deck is to focus on hitting in face. If you start to get distracted by Planeswalkers, you could miss a lot of things. Like, for instance, attacking and dealing 2 or 3 damage to finish a Planeswalker that could cost you a lethal couple of turns later. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is bad. Now opponent will be able to play everything without its converted mana cost. Hello, removal. Based on the amount of lands in play. Okay, at least we got a card that allows us to draw cards. Oh, snap. 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we have to do this. If we want to keep Sephara and play next turn. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. It's complete bullcrap. That's it, I guess. We're done. I'm not gonna be able to win this match now.
Power, carry the one. Yep. Odds of victory look good.
Because we made quite a lot of mistakes throughout the play. So the first one I didn't read properly in our set's ability. First mistake. Second one is like focusing on attacking Planeswalkers. It's probably not a good idea to play the Planeswalker that could, like, with Bolas in play, because now Bolas can steal those things too. It's pretty important, pretty annoying. Each opponent who doesn't control a legendary creature or Planeswalker loses the game. So opponent actually pretty close to using -8. But if opponent doesn't have anything to remove our Planeswalker, we're fine. We're not gonna lose. And maybe we still could get a win, who knows. So we most likely will lose this game with certain like combo. This is not a regular deck, it's a combo deck, which means that we're probably going to lose with some type of big combo in one turn. There's not going to be any creatures, damage dealers or whatever. It's mostly Planeswalkers and a lot of combinations. Okay. Unfortunately,
Time to choose. Always so exciting.
don't have any flyers that could have haste and could attack right away. And the problem is, no matter what we're gonna put in play, opponent is just going to remove it. Opponent has like 3 removals in here. Yeah, we're done. Basically done with this one. So yeah, we got completely... We burned out. Like, our deck is basically burned out. Or run out of dynamic or whatever. Again, each threat that we're going to put in place is going to be removed next turn, the turn after. There's no point of trying to win this game, let's just quit. I don't want to make the session too long. We don't have a chance to deal 6 damage with this on the battlefield, like truly don't. It's just like the waste of time. And although ideally if I wouldn't record it, this one I would probably... So this is it. This is our second loss, by the way. Let's quit. Yeah, this was our second loss, which means that... Wait a minute. Did we have 8 games remaining and now 7 because we quit the match? Or it was... Or I just assumed. Either way, let's just change probably and play with the Cavalcade deck and see how it shows itself here. With the remaining 7 games. So again, I get like what flyers are all about. I mean, I'm playing with flyers pretty well, if I'm not making mistakes. So far with flyers, let me see how many matches we won with them and how many matches we lost with them, especially these flyers that we played. Unfortunately, I don't have statistics on it in here for some reason, because this is probably a challenge deck and it doesn't track. Yeah, MTG Pro doesn't track statistics of the UN decks, unfortunately. So yeah, but either way, we had like 12 matches. Out of these 12 matches, 2 of them we lost, and how many of them we won? 3 or 2? So again, the whole event is going to be basically based on luck and based on what you're gonna face, which is not something that I like. No matter how like awesome deck you will get, it's just not gonna matter at all. So we got a pretty bad start right from the beginning. We're probably going to lose this game 100%. The opponent started much better because opponent got creatures for attack. Also by having Cavalcade in hand, we didn't have any creatures for attack. So again, this is a problem of Mirror Cavalcade. We took a pretty bad hand for the start. It's better for late game. but this situation is just basically unreal. So yeah, we could face the same problem with Cavalcade decks in the actual event. Like, this type of speed, which is pretty annoying. By the way, could be a good consideration to add in Cavalcade deck this gingerbread. So yeah, as you see, I mean, like, I still will try to make a proper decision. Like, the good thing is that during this event we able to switch decks, so we could actually win the whole event with a combination of decks. We could start with flyers, and if flyers will start losing, but the problem is, like, how could you, like, if you will lose one match with flyers, it could be considered a just lack of luck. And by switching to different deck, you might jeopardize your whole idea of winning with one deck. I don't know, it's weird. I have mixed feelings about switching the deck during the event. I probably most likely will maintain the deck. If I will stick to flyers, I will stick to flyers. Well, if I'll choose Cavalcade, I will stick to Cavalcade. I believe we have better chances with actually flyers than with Cavalcade, just my personal opinion, because lately my flyers, I'm winning more matches with flyers than with Cavalcade during daily events, or just basically going to the daily wins. It's faster, it's much more, I guess. Cool thing is, for the first time, we're gonna use this. Never used it. I put it in deck, but never played it. I played it, but never utilized its ability of -2 opponent, like additional 2 damage. Opponent basically killed it right away. Good thing that we have both 2 copies. If opponent decides to kill one of them, or do something else with it, we'll be able to have a second copy. Counter spell. No. So here a question. I mean, like, this is bad hand. I mean, this is completely the worst draw ever. Okay. Understood. I'm gonna attack. Screw it. So yeah, I don't feel that comfortable playing Cavalcade decks usually. Like, I have more comfortable with Flyers decks because their aggression is a little bit different from the aggression that this deck provides. It's interesting that we see a flash deck in this event. I have a flash deck too. We could actually build a flash deck. I can play it. Not super mega well, but can. Oh, it could be awesome to play it, but the thing is, opponent still probably will be able to return it back. Let's try it. I never tried. Opponent probably will counterspell it, but still I never tried it. Damn it. This is my life in competitive, like, truly. And, like, I mean, I understand that I'm not trying that hard in order to actually participate in competitive. I'm doing the least that I can in order to build my competitive decks, like, keep up with the compromises and etc. So, yeah, this is basically it. So our second match in Cavalcade we're already losing because, like, we're just not able to fight this. It's still pretty early to say that we're losing. I have more lives than opponent. This is a temporary thing. Like, and this is one of the problems, like having multiple copies of this. Like, for instance, I have 4 copies of this one in this deck, which is, I believe, is again accessible. Less copies probably would be better. Let's just freaking quit. It's pointless. Wasn't able to establish a good game thing. Okay, so 5 games to go, and we already lost with our Cavalcade. You gotta be kidding me. I mean, which means that we're gonna switch to flyers again. Yeah, let's just remove those guys. It's just pointless to have 4 copies of them. Maybe 3, because this legendary creature is just not cool. Embrace seems better, but double strike and trample again, it works better if you have like Chandra Spitfire. I could keep the rest. Yeah, let's just switch back to flyers. Maybe like the more I play with Cavalcade in competitive, the less I'm trusting it in this event, like the upcoming event. Because again, I still believe that we have more chances to win with flyers because they are a little bit more flexible and they have more protection from removal than Cavalcade deck. They're a little bit easier to rebuild just because of the ability to draw more cards per turn. And in general, they're a little bit more fun to play. But it all depends on what you're gonna take from... Okay. Pretty bad hand though. But I'm gonna take it. I'm completely... oh snap, this is bad. So, hopefully this event is not going to show like repetitiveness in terms of what opponents' decks were facing. So far we didn't face anyone like similar decks. So far every time that we played we faced a completely different deck. At least this is the way that I remember it. It seems like every deck we're facing is different, which is a good thing. But it could be a bad thing because like knowing that you will be able to deal with one type of deck and knowing that you will be able to win with it gives you more security. Yeah, I played with this type of deck already before. Not this time, but in general, remember. And we're not getting proper lands. Completely bad stuff. The opponent will kill himself. As long as we have enough blockers here. So the question is here, should we skip damage or should we kill 3/3? Or should we kill 1/1? If opponent's deck is built around how many creatures opponent controls. Unless you control 1/1 creature. Let's do this. And not block it. Why would I do this then? Oh snap! Yeah, I'm super tired. I'm making like completely awful mistakes, and I completely understand that. This is bad. Like, hopefully, I will feel better when this event will come. And also, this video is also gonna be like a example of how bad I am when I'm tired. I'm not good in general in Magic. In terms of reading the strategies, making perfect decisions, I make a lot of mistakes usually.
Step aside or be crushed.
No, it doesn't matter.
I've suffered worse.
So yeah, we're gonna lose this one too. Because of the land shortage. Basically, yeah, we got mana screwed completely. Pretty bad. So yeah, if this is the same thing that will happen on the event itself, this is going to be completely the worst case scenario. So again, we're playing until we're going to lose 2 matches with each deck, and then we're basically switching back. And like, the funny thing is that I believe if I would play with just my regular version of the deck, not with this pumped up version with unlimited cards, like with the whole collection available and etc., I would probably play much better because I'm more familiar with my version of the deck than with this pumped up version of the deck. But this is a weird thing that I'm noticing. Like, I remember the same problem I had with the deck that the only deck that I used net decking to actually just basically copy paste was the Blue Tempo in the previous format, and this is the only deck that I didn't rebuild. I didn't edit anything. No, I actually like rebuilt a couple of cards with it, probably. Or not. No. I actually had a complete full set of cards that were available to this deck in general. So yeah, it was the only deck that I felt comfortable with. But not at the beginning. I need to spend a lot of time in order to adapt to someone else's strategy, so sort of. Because when I'm building my decks, like personally, of course, I know what they're doing, and I'm just like I know what these cards are doing and why these cards are there. And although this deck is also built by me, but it's more built around competitive. So because of this, I just don't feel that comfortable. It has things that I probably wouldn't put as much as into the deck in terms of the quantity. At least one of our creatures survived, which is a good thing. It's better for us to reinforce the only creatures that we have. If you're playing a deck with a lot of removal, you have more chances, I believe, to win in this tournament than with this straightforward aggro deck, because aggro decks are pretty easily disruptive. I mean, if you have a removal in your hand against them, you always like it's just all about the proper time of using it and rebuilding it. Ideally, this strategy against aggressive decks are relatively simple. It's just basically accepting damage for quite a while until you know that opponent basically now not able to produce any cards and playing with the top of their library. Getting to this point. Yeah, when you get to this point, it's basically like, for instance, right now, like, yes, opponent has not a lot of lives, but if opponent has mass removal and a lot of it, or at least a lot of removal in general, we're not going to be able to win even with the fact that opponent has now 3 lives and we have 25. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So you have to have
You're being irresponsible.
patience in order to play with these type of decks.
Roll your temper.
And truly hope that you like a certain amount of luck too. So I mean, losing with in this situation is just seems unfair. -3. Opponent will probably repeat -3 ability to kill all elemental. So just -3 of destroying target creature. Because creature is like if opponent is not going to destroy our eagle next turn, we're going to win.
Check out these fireworks.
It was truly unnecessary. You could just use the ability of the Planeswalker itself. So yeah.
Bye-bye. My victory was washed away.
And perfect. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So this is the way to play against aggro decks. Either these are the flyer decks, or
This isn't your average zombie horde.
the Cavalcade
Good
deck.
help is easy to find in war.
Is it just me, or is it getting a little warm in here?
Both of these decks are just pretty easily disabled by just like basically again keeping like taking damage for like until a certain point, and then removing all possible threats, and then killing opponent with basically 1 or 3 health remaining. This is the general strategy of this deck, unfortunately. And it freaking works. Maybe I need to consider to play something similar. Just put a lot of Planeswalker decks, like create a one solid Planeswalker deck with a lot of removal and maybe win this way. Who knows? I mean, but again, I want to be done with this event. Like, as you probably already noticed throughout this video, I'm not that thrilled about this event at all. Like, I truly have a, like, weird, some sort of, I wouldn't say repulsion, but I truly, like,
Hope it's not too hot for ya.
I don't like competitive events. Just don't like. And I don't like when games, like Magic, for instance, like forcing, I wouldn't say forcing, but kind of forcing us to play those. Because again, if you give this opportunity to basically gain a lot of cards, like by just getting up to the 12 wins, or even if you will get like 1 or 2 wins, you still will get something. It kind of puts you in a state, okay, it would be cool to actually extend my collection in Standard. Why freaking not? And it basically forces, because of this pure logic, the person that not necessarily that's stoked about. Gotta be kidding me. Again, if we would have a Cavalcade deck, maybe we could fight this. Because again, it's a little bit more, seriously, it's a little bit more aggressive, so now we're done. It's pretty bad, it's pretty bad. So yeah, so lately we're losing all of our matches, so now it seems like our decks are completely unplayable at all, like they're just, that's it, they're done. They don't have anything. So yeah, let's just play with a different version of this deck. So again, I just put additional copy of this one and replaced it with this one. Like having 3 copies of each seems like it's a little bit better idea. Forgot to see how many matches we left. So again, we're playing till we'll run out of matches with 2 decks that I aimed at testing in during this event, and unfortunately, the funny thing is though, I mean, these decks are pretty easy to build and they're pretty cheap that we're playing with, so it might seem weird for different people. Why would you waste this opportunity of having all cards in your collection by building these stupid and like one-dimensional decks? I wouldn't say that they're stupid, but they're definitely easy to play. So why would you create an easy decks to play when you have all cards in your collection, when you have the opportunity to play something like, you could realize your fantasy deck with this event, and you're wasting this opportunity on playing these one-dimensional decks like Cavalcade, Aggro Cavalcade and Aggro Azorius Liars. So you could ask this question, and I probably don't have an answer for it, like the proper answer for it, at least, because I just wanna, again, put the less amount of energy in this as possible and just wing it. That's it. I spent a lot of time during this week on Magic in general that was unplanned because of the sponsored event, and I'm truly tired from Magic at this point, and I don't want to spend another like infinite amount of hours to build a super awesome deck and then test it in the event. I better use something that I'm familiar with, something that's easily accessible to me, something that I don't want to stress about, and just try to win with it, as many wins as possible. But I have a good feeling that we probably will have a lot of people in this event that will actually create a lot of pretty cool decks. And a fair share of them will be straightforward Cavalcades, or I didn't fight against any Azorius flyers though. I mean, it seems like only only me playing with Azorius flyers. Maybe they became obsolete since the last time that they were cool. Now we see different decks. Azorius flyers were cool before the event, or before the presentation of the new set. Since new set presented itself, there's just much more opportunities to you could utilize. Hopefully we're not missing the opportunity by not attacking with those creatures. I mean, I could, but I kind of want to play a little bit reserved. How cool will be next turn, for instance, to put another Legion Boss War or Chandra and basically attack with everything. Could deal a lot of damage, but I'm afraid that opponent might use something big to kill all of my creatures, which wouldn't be a good thing. Really? The funny thing is that yes, it's time for the Spitfire, but the problem is at this point Spitfire is too late. It's just too freaking late. Too late. I guess we're done. Or maybe not. Who knows? Maybe we will be able to deal more than enough damage with just attacking with all of them. Like, opponent will be able to block only 2 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nope, not enough. 7 damage. Only. Oh no. Opponent... My opponent actually skipped. Opponent could block. That was weird. Apparently opponent miscalculated. And 2 games left. We'll finish those games until we're gonna lose 2 matches with Cavalcade, so this match was a win, which is a good thing. So 1-1 with a new version of Cavalcade. Let's keep this one. Why this deck has Runaway Kin in it? I truly don't believe that I put it in here. Oh, I put it in here in order to have mana, and also it's pretty good destruction. Are we playing against the same deck now? Maybe against the same opponent? So yeah, probably we'll start the event with Cavalcade deck, and then try to transition. No, with Flyers deck, and then if Flyers deck is not going to show itself well, I will switch to my opponent probably has removal of its Spitfire though. Show a card. Just a blocker. Oh yeah. Cool. This one allows to sacrifice a creature, draw a card. It would be awesome if we would have this cool enchantment artifact to make this one trample. So again, the idea is simple in those decks, which is a good thing. You have more luck to win, of course, with mono red, because of this just limited color. You don't have to find for or search for, man, my English is dying today. Yeah, you don't need to search for missing land. So goodbye. getting what we need. Damage was taken. Yeah, screw it. Let's just lose it, or not. Yeah, I kind of want to lose this creature. I truly don't want it. But again, opponent could just sacrifice it, regardless. So let's do this. It just seems like a much more logical choice, maybe. Although at this point, there's no logical choices. My mind at this point is all over the place, truly. So hopefully this is the last flyer blocker that opponent has. Not. So yeah, this is pretty annoying. Opponent is just basically, by having just one card, is gonna continue to do this. And also we're gonna lose this one, which is unfortunate. Probably should play it previous turn. Uncool. So pretty good example of mono red, but mono red that doesn't work just like linear, like non-linear. I would say mono red. It's a much more interesting one. Or mono black. So I mean, by having this elf noble, but again, you have to get to the stage, and the more complicated strategies your deck has, the harder it's gonna be to utilize it. It's just much easier to play this event probably with something quicker and much more linear. That way you will at least know that you won or lost. It's actually pretty cool. Probably going to lose this one too. Like, opponent doesn't have like super significant cards, but as you see, Cavalcade deck is completely disabled with this one. It seems like I chose a improper deck. This is probably my version of the deck, because I didn't put this card. Yeah, this is my version of the deck, definitely, because my version of the deck has Immortal Shaman, and the final event version, like the event version of the deck, doesn't have it. So I missed the... Basically I chose the wrong deck. So yeah, playing pretty boring decks, which is the whole idea in this event. This is my basically goal. Of course I have unlimited cards and I could create anything that I would want to, but I don't want to spend more time in Magic that I already spent throughout the week, so I will try to go the easiest route in here. So yeah, we're 100% done. There's nothing that we could do at this point. So let's truly see, we have a couple of matches left, probably one match left. Yeah, I chose a different, like I chose a wrong deck, I chose my deck, this is my version of the deck. That based on my accessible, like on the cards that I have access to. And this is the unlimited access deck, so basically I chose the wrong deck. We had to choose number 2 deck. Now let's just the last match we're gonna play with this normal deck, with the Cavalcade deck, and this is it. On this note, we're gonna end the session after this match, regardless of losing or winning. And I will try to like say my final thoughts during this match because I don't want to make this recording more than 1.5+ hours. So hopefully this match is going to go faster. We're just going to lose. That's it. Or we're gonna win. That's it. So the overall thing about so the whole point of this recording was just basically to make this recording. Like truly, I decided to make this recording. I truly didn't want to make this recording. I believe it shows during the recording itself. The reason for this recording is basically two reasons. First one, I wanted to test decks that I could like in competitive atmosphere. I also want to record this and see how well I will do. And the whole reason behind actually uploading it and posting it, even though this video probably is going to suck, as most of my videos, but this one definitely is gonna suck because I don't feel good about it at all. Like most of my videos, I at least feel decent about, even though they're not good. I still feel like I did my best. This video is complete opposite of it because I basically just hit the button, record button, and decided to wing it. Because again, truly personally, I don't have an energy to spend, like excessive energy to spend on Magic at this point. And although in a perfect timing, with perfect timing, with perfect situation, probably I would truly spend more time in building much more interesting decks, because again, we have the whole freaking collection available. So if you truly have time, don't waste it on these type of decks. Actually spend on creating something interesting, unique, try it. But again, this is a problem. We have only 12 matches in order to try anything. So because of this, you have to make choices basically like a little bit more direct towards testing the deck that you potentially could use in the actual event. This is the whole point why I'm doing this, the way that I'm doing this. I know that I have only 12 matches to test deck. I choose 2 decks. I decided to choose 2 simple decks that I'm using usually for my daily wins. Of course, there are modified based on the accessibility of cards that I usually don't have an access to, which makes them probably, I wouldn't say less effective or more effective. For me, they're just a little bit more confusing, because I like by adding additional cards that you're not familiar with, or extending the amount of cards that you had before to 4, it just makes it weird, because you will end up having too many copies of the card that you don't rely that much on, so it's kind of a weird thing. I believe this video, regardless, will end up like in 2 hours. Yeah, I don't believe we're going to finish quicker. This match is rather slow, and it's not going to get quicker anytime soon. Unless I would sacrifice 1/1. But still, it has a mass. My original deck has 4 copies of this, because I didn't have anything else to put in it. So here, let's just try to draw cards. There's no point of putting these elementals in play. It's just not enough. The goal right here is to draw Cavalcade, because only by having Cavalcade in play we can do something. Without Cavalcade in play, we're basically losing. So my hope that we will continue to attack with the small creature. Hopefully we'll deal enough damage. And my hope is to gain a Cavalcade, have enough mana to utilize this and Cavalcade. Oh, this is bad. So now we have to, each time that it attacks, or each time that it deals combat damage, we have to discard a card, lose 1 life, draw a card, and sacrifice. With 1 attack, I'm fine with it. we have things to sacrifice. Pretty cool fairy from Shadowmoor. This is at least this is an art from Shadowmoor. I don't know if this card is new or we had it in Shadowmoor, because the art itself looks like it was drawn for a Shadowmoor set. Let's just discard one copy of this. We're not going to be able to play both of them. Oh no, we're actually getting a stat on how many matches we won. So yeah, maximum amount of matches with each deck to be won probably is 4. Again, it's super bad. Super bad statistic. Which means that if I'm not getting lucky during this event, probably gonna end up winning maximum 4 matches. Which is fine. Let's see what we will get with 4 matches. With 4 matches, we're gonna get... so yeah, let's just... next event, with 0 or 1 win, we're gonna get 1 rare from Throne of Eldraine, plus Golden Egg card sleeve. Card sleeves are gonna be given to us upon entering the event, and just basically this is kind of an entry reward. Thanks for the participation award, yeah. So you're gonna get this with each win, no matter how many wins or losses you're gonna get. With 4 to 5 wins, you will get 3 rare Throne of Eldraine cards. It seems like ICRs. It's basically means that card that you could open then. It's just basically a regular reward. Skipping that one. If we want to survive, we have to block one. But it doesn't matter because it's triggers. No. Yeah, it's gonna trigger. Pretty cool. So yeah, with 2-3 wins, 2 Throne of Eldraine cards. For 4-5 wins, 3 Throne of Eldraine cards plus sleeve. Again, sleeve gonna be granted on every level. 8 wins, 5 Throne of Eldraine cards. 9 to 10 wins, 1 sealed token event, and 5 Throne of Eldraine cards. So basically the same as for 8 wins, but just basically additional token also. Forgot to sacrifice a creature. And 11 and 12 wins, these are the things that are the most cool. But again, get to 12 wins by having only 2 losses, it seems unrealistic, like personally to me. Because again, so that's it, 1 entry per player, we're done with this, we're not going to be able to do anything else. I could do this on my second account, I have second account for Magic, so it's kind of just created in order to play with friends, if we in one place, for instance. Basically, yeah. So ideally, this is kind of it. I mean, we tested this thing, so I have so many decks. So yeah, these are the 2 decks that I basically will try to test in this event. So I probably will start with this one. So again, most of the cards I already have in my collection. I need to think about this one. At the beginning it seemed like this one is a good idea, but because we have 3 costs for Sepharda right here, 2 costs for Tomic right here, and we have 3 copies of it, we might not need to Tomic at all because we didn't see any Nisa decks, but I'm 100% sure that's there's going to be a lot of Nisa decks because they're pretty strong. So yeah, we might actually remove 2 copies of this because it actually seems weird to have them. Instead, we could just add more copies of these cards. And this is it. This is just, we'll make sure that we will get enough planes because this is something that we struggled with throughout the matches. Okay, what else? Eagle is super important here. Like 3 copies of Safari, I guess more than enough. I would even make them less than 3, but 3 is actually pretty good because the opponent will have a lot of removal and we might actually lose 1 or 2 Safaris, and well, at least we'll know that we're not done if we have 3 copies. So the same goes for Tomic. I mean, if opponent has like 1 Nisa and then has the removal to kill Tomic, and I mean, I want to have a reserve, and also as a creature it's actually pretty good. It costs pretty cheap. 2 mana for creature to 3, it's pretty cool. Like, if you will consider, it will become stronger with these birds, with eagles, and also of course with rally with things. The combination of those things could make this Tomic a pretty big creature, which is not easy to kill with damage dealers. So having 4 copies of this one, again, the reason for having those small creatures, a lot of copies of them, is just because, again, they are our guarantee that we're gonna put Safari in play as quickly as possible. Moyanlin here is actually a good destruction. It actually works as it is a pretty good destruction. It also gives us, with -3 ability, a pretty cool ability to basically create a 4/4 blue creatures with flying, which is again supports the strategy of the deck. And also it disables creatures with flying, which is, again, allows us to attack also. This Drake worked pretty well against red decks, so definitely would want to have it. Wouldn't want to have more than 2 copies of it, because 1 copy is usually enough in our possession. Having 2 of them, of course, is a good one, but again, it's not cheap to play, considering that we have a lot of small ones, 1 mana ones. And it also allows us to counter target spell that targets us, which is actually pretty cool. So I might put more copies of him instead of Tomic. This is something to consider. I mean, maybe we could put like 3 of them, 2 of Tomics. I don't know. Oh snap. I don't know. This one works still. An instant destruction, opponent usually kills it pretty quickly. Keeping that one. So yeah, this deck is, I mean, I'm feeling comfortable with it almost with every freaking choice, like, with the exception of having too many copies of legendary creatures that are too heavy to utilize. Like, for instance, this one is heavy to utilize because it needs 2 mana of the same color. This one is heavy to utilize if we don't have enough creatures. If we have enough creatures, then we will be able to utilize with 1 mana. But still, this is the reason to having those. So again, this challenge number 1 deck is probably the one that I will probably use in the event. And when it comes down to the Cavalcade, I mean, every time that I'm losing with Cavalcade, I'm much more disappointed than losing with Flyers. Every time that I'm losing with Flyers, I know that I did my best. Losing with Cavalcade is usually much more disappointing because this is just like much more of a straightforward deck, and also you're too dependent on only 4 cards in your deck. So I mean, like, it's pretty limited in terms of, like, for instance, in Flyers we are not dependent only on Safaris. We could win with just a lot of Flyers attacking and hitting a lot of damage. It's not necessarily true for Cavalcade, because all those creatures are grounded, and usually most of the creatures are grounded. With flyer creatures in our flyer deck, there's just much more possibility to attack on the through the air and not getting blocked. So there's just more chances to win with the flyers. Just for me personally, I mean, I'm analyzing my choices at this point. Again, I'm not trying to teach anyone, like, play whatever deck you feel good about. I'm trying to just basically my own decisions, justify my own decisions here. So yeah, so basically we're reliant only on these 4 cavalcades. If we get one, it's cool. If not, they're not cool. Chandra itself, again, without cavalcade in play, it's again pretty not cool at all. So this one, Chandra Spitfire without cavalcade, also not working that well. Meant like, these Legion War bosses are pretty cool, but again, what's the point of creating a lot of goblins if you're not able to attack opponent on the ground? Risk Factors, again, seems like a cool card. I mean, at this point, I'm trying to create comparisons between flyer aggressors and mono red aggressors in here, and for me flyer aggressors are just winning on all points, because like in flyer aggressive we have a lot of cards that allow us to draw cards without any problems. Risk factor, the only card that allows us to draw additional cards, and it's again circumstantial. If opponent decides to take damage, then we're going to get those 3 cards. If not, we're basically just going to hit for damage and that's it, which is usually a good thing for aggressive decks, but in this particular instance, if opponent has a plan to gain this mana back, it's just pointless, and usually we need those cards to get the Cavalcade. So risk factor is not necessarily in 4 copies that good. Of course we could replace it with something different, but this something different will force us to discard a card. Like for instance, let's see, draw. It's because new set I believe has a couple of new drawers like this one, but again this is the same as we had before. Basically, an additional cost to discard a card, draw 2 cards. So again, we have to discard a card. We usually don't have enough cards in general here. So yeah. So again, as you see, this deck is pretty problematic when it comes down to, it's less reliant on the cards itself and more reliant on luck. Like if you get lucky with certain cards, if you get lucky with Cavalcade, if you get a proper like super perfect hand, then you probably will finish opponent in 3 turns, 4 turns. If not, you still have a chance to win, but the more you play, the less chance you have with this deck. This one seems like a good idea, but again, I will probably test it with my limited version of this deck. Maybe a limited version of this deck will show itself better, but I will try not to change my direction in choices. I will still consider only these 2 decks, and predominantly I will probably play flyers, because lately this deck is much more consistent, and if I will lose with it, I will lose with it at least without disappointment, because I know how this deck works and I know what it does. With this deck, although I know how it works and I know how it, like, what it does, it's still reliant too much on luck, and there's too many disablers for aggressive mono red. Much more disablers than for flyers. Flyers are just harder to interrupt. Although possible, but less possible than these guys. And this card seems a pretty awesome card, which potentially could help us to finish opponents much quicker. But again, usually it's relatively, I mean, it usually enters the battlefield in a mid-game, which means that if you don't have already established enough decent amount of creatures and have at least one Cavalcade either in play or in hand, and decent amount of lands to utilize multiple things in one turn, then this one is not that efficient as it seems. So again, just my kind of opinion based on what I played with this deck. It might be wrong. So again, my plan is to basically test the light version of those decks, those 2. Or so many decks, there's just basically loads for quite a while. So yeah, this is the light version of the deck that we played. So instead of a lot of these heavy cards in this one, I have my winning strategy, Shaman. It's pretty good blocker. It also deals passive damage if opponent activates certain like abilities, which usually not something that opponents are considering, and it killed opponents on multiple occasions. It's pretty cool, and also it's a good blocker and a good attacker once you will get to a later game and have enough mana to make it stronger. Runaway King again right here, probably not a good idea, but again lately it works if you have troubles with mana. 3 Chandras, 4 of these, 3 of these, 4 of these, as always, 4 of these. Again, I would probably reconsider like having a risk factor here, but again, risk factor works good with Chandra Spitfire. It also works good with almost everything else, like with additional draws, with dealing excessive damage and etc. So it seems like a good idea to actually have it here. So yeah, so again, I will continue to test this version of the deck. It's pretty similar to the version of the deck that we have in our original event deck. So again, the only difference is that we don't have Runaway Kins in here. We have 4 Legion Barbosses, we have 4 Chandras, and we have much more copies of cards that could give us a pretty big win. But in the end, it all comes down to what we're gonna get from, like, in terms of the cards, like how lucky we're gonna get here. And this is not something that, like, I'm not getting lucky with it that much, especially when it comes down to competitive events. So with this, so this is the version of the deck, like the light version, based on what I have in my collection. The difference is it has 3 copies of these Pegasuses, which basically a pretty cool card, but again, it's pretty limited in terms of how it could attack or block. It's pretty slow, but if you will maintain, like, at least it will work as an additional creature that you can then use to tap to play Sephara. I have only 1 copy of Sephara, 4 of these as usual. Additional, like, these 2 guys to provide us with a pretty decent block. Only 1 Yalin, 4 of these, 4 of these, not 2 of these, but 4, because again, it's just the difference. 1 Tomic, because I have only 1 copy in collection. 4 of these, 2 of these. By the way, probably could be a better idea to do this. Oh no, I actually don't have to. I could craft them, but I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, 2 copies of this, 4 copies of this. So yeah, so this is the light version, and let's just do the same here as we did there. Yeah, this is better, because this length was cry, it's just not working. So yeah, the light version of the deck is, again, it's pretty straightforward. I probably will stick to it in this challenge. So probably most likely we're gonna play this deck. So again, it has more Sailors, it has more Tomics, it has more Muyan Lins, it has more Sepharas, and more lands that could give us like proper amount of color. So, but regardless, like, these decks are pretty similar. My decks is just lighter in mythics and like big cards. And I believe this deck is actually gonna give us more than we need. It's pretty good against mono red. It will work against mono red pretty well. It has the way to regain life if we're going to play against too much of an aggressive deck. It has a lot of cards that can allow us to draw things. It has a lot of small cards to play Sepharas. We have more than enough Sepharas if opponent has enough removals for it. We have a pretty good distribution in terms of the lands, so we're probably not going to have troubles with lands in general. So yeah, we have a couple of destructions. So yeah, it seems like a pretty, like, we have Tomic and Lisa if opponent will want to play with the deck that revolves around lands. So again, it's pretty cool deck. I mean, hopefully this deck is actually going to work in the event itself, and I will win as many matches as possible. I doubt that I'm going to get to 12 wins. My just basically, like, humble goal is to get at least to 4 wins. It would be awesome if I would win 7-2 or 8-2. That way we could gain like 5 Throne of Eldraine IRCs, basically cards, and sleeve. It would be perfect. But again, winning 8 matches, like, the closer you get to 12 wins, the more disappointed you probably will be in losing. I believe it's highly unlikely to get to an 8 win without losing any matches. Like, I doubt that many players will actually win 12 matches and get all copies from standard. This event is probably, in terms of the percentages, it would have more percentage if we played not until 2 losses but until 3 losses. So if we would have 12-3 ratio, 12 wins, 3 losses, then probably getting to 12 wins would be much more likely. But getting to 12 wins without any losses or with 1 loss only, it's just, I guess it's just going to be a pure luck. And those who will get there, I will congratulate those and I will be happy for those. But again, I believe it's going to be just some based on the pure luck. which again will consist multiple things. It's going to consist of good deck, your understanding of this deck. I mean, you have to know how to play it pretty efficiently. Of course, your general skills, how good of a hand you're gonna take, like the luck of your draws, the opponent that you're gonna play against, specific opponent, and the luck of this opponent, and etc. So there's going to be so many, like, and of course each opponent that you're gonna get will either increase or decrease your possibility to win all 12 wins. If we're gonna get like we encountered this session, when we basically lost 2 matches in a row with each deck, we could basically, because of this weird luck, end up losing all matches right away and quitting the event with only 1 Throne of Eldraine card and 1 sleeve. So again, anything can happen in this event. Regardless of the things that will happen in this event, I will probably still try to record it the same fashion as this episode. So yeah, I guess this is it for today. I mean, let's just end the session on this note. Let's hope that I will get at least like 4 wins, 4-2 ratio, 4 wins, 2 losses. It would be of course awesome, like if I will get like 3 rare cards, it could be cool. So we'll see. So yeah, I'm tired. I guess it shows. I'm rambling. I don't know what I'm saying. So let's just finish on this note. Have a nice yeah. Have a good day or night, and basically thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Yeah, have a good day or night, and see you in the next session. Pre-recorded session, which is going to be 10th session, which is probably going to revolve around this special event, which will allow us to basically October 5. This event is going to happen, and after October 5, I will at some point upload this recording as a pre-recorded session number 10. So I guess this is it. Again, thank you for watching. Bye.